Hello everyone, I'm Bruffy1322 and welcome to the second episode of the 2018 Real Life Racing Series covering this driving experience that I had at the Croft circuit. So this isn't the first of these driving experience type things that I've put up on this channel. I actually did a single-seater experience at Silverstone, and that served as the final episode for the 2015 series, so I'll leave a link to that down below in the description if you want to check that out as well. But this was the first one that I've done on a proper racing circuit, really, and I'll explain a little bit about that later on. But the whole idea with this one is that first of all I went out in sort of a saloon car with a passenger as a passenger, and the instructor took us around the circuit for a few laps to check it out. Then I went out in the Porsche, as you've just seen, and that isn't unfortunately recorded. I don't have the footage of that from inside the car. And then I went out in the main appeal for the whole experience, which was the Ferrari 458. This is me, obviously, as you can see. And then we're going to skip to the in-car footage of this. Now, the idea was that I got 4 laps in the Ferrari. I got 3 laps in the Porsche. That's obviously, a slower vehicle. So they put you in that first, and then we, go up to the Ferrari. Just to point out that what you're seeing on the screen is the best that I could do with the footage that I got. So I wasn't able to, use my own GoPro, very similar to the single-seater experience as well. You have to pay to get some video footage of this, and it's all their own. It was interlaced footage, and it had all sorts of, stuff on it that I've had to cut out. I'll leave a link to it in the description to an image where you can see, what I've had to work from to get what you're seeing here. But there's essentially, hopefully, the point that I was making with that is hopefully it's okay and it's good enough for you to, get some entertainment out. You're going to see the entire 4 laps that I did driving the Ferrari around Croft, and the idea was that it was 4 laps, so it would essentially be 1 out lap and 2 hot laps and then an in lap. But I'm going to sort of start and finish the laps just before the pit lane. You'll see obviously where that is, so that we can get 3 timed laps basically. Otherwise it would just be 2 timed laps and then coming in the pits, and you don't really gain an awful lot from that. So this first lap, obviously, we've just come out of the pit lane, so there's no real lap time for that. And then the next 3 laps we'll get a lap time for. You can obviously see the speed and the in-car shots and all that kind of stuff as we're going through. But this is the first driving experience that I've ever done on a proper racing circuit. Now, it's a bit of a shame that it started to rain. It actually just started to rain as I was in the Porsche, so I'm not being able to push it as much as I maybe could have done if it was completely dry. But it wasn't at least torrential rain, so I didn't have to be super careful in that respect either. But just driving this car in particular, it was insane. Like, as I've said, I've done a few of these driving experiences. Most of them have been single-seater experiences, but I've also driven a Lamborghini Murcielago, I think it was. That was quite a while ago now. And this was just on another planet to the Lamborghini. And the engine sound, the way that it accelerates, obviously it's the paddle shift gears as well on the steering wheel, which was an interesting experience. I'll shut up a little bit when we get to the start finish line so you can hear the sound of the engine from inside the car. During all of this, I do have the instructor there as well. Like, there's always an instructor doing all of this, just keeping you right, making sure obviously these are driving experiences meant for anyone. It's not just for people who like racing or enjoy motorsport or anything like that. So you always have an instructor keeping you right. I'll talk more about what he said later on as well, but that's why you're not hearing the sound. And now I'll shut up.
And up again, up again, up again, and brake, nice and hard, down.
So yeah, quite the sound. But the obviously I'm not gonna sort of put the sound in for the entire way through, because really it would just be a case of us talking to each other, so there's not an awful lot of point in me just talking over other people talking. You're not going to get much from that, so that's why you can't hear the sound most of the time. But what I'll try and do is intersperse some interesting moments, especially on acceleration and stuff like that, so you can hear that engine sound, which is pretty amazing, and this car was pretty incredible to drive. So this was a present that Xerxes got me for Christmas, and it was kind of perfect, really, because it's come at the perfect time to do one of these on this circuit. And like I said, this is the first time that I've really done it on a proper circuit. Even at Silverstone, they put you on the sort of the smaller infield store circuit, which is, you know, just meant for stuff like that. It's not on the actual full Silverstone track. So it was really nice to be on a proper circuit. This is used in the British Touring Car Championship. You know, it's quite close to well, it's the only circuit sort of around my area really as well. But this is also where I'm going to be doing my what is called the ARDS test, which is the test that you need to do to get your racing license. So that's going to be at this circuit. So doing this driving experience, first of all, to gain a bit of, you know, information and a bit of knowledge about the circuit, it has come at the perfect time. With me, obviously, as I said in episode 1 of this series, looking to get a racing license and start racing proper cars. I also took the opportunity to talk to the instructors about, you know, getting my racing license and all that kind of stuff. So I've come away from this driving experience not just having, you know, the experience of having driven this car and you know, the normal stuff that you get from doing these driving experiences, but I've also come away with a lot more knowledge for what I need to do to get my racing license. So that's been perfect. You know, that's exactly what I needed. That's exactly what I wanted. The instructors here, you know, I can actually really recommend the driving experiences here at this track. I'll leave a link to the track itself down below in the description as well. But I can really recommend them because the instructors who are doing these driving experiences are actually the same instructors who would be taking you for your racing license test. They're properly qualified driving instructors from a racing perspective. So I was able to ask them about, you know, my driving, how I was doing. They know their stuff. And then at the end of this Ferrari drive, I came into the pit lane and the instructor had said I'd done very, very well. You know, he said I was a lot better than average, or, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I decided to ask him about the test itself. You know, the getting the racing license, the test that you have to do to get that. How would I have done on that if I'd driven as I had today? And he said if I'd driven on that test, which I know a lot more about now, but I'm going to talk about it in episode 3. Me getting my racing license is going to be the topic of episode 3 of this series, so keep an eye out for that when it eventually drops, but I am pursuing that now. That's the next step. He basically said that if I was to drive as I'm doing now, as you're seeing on the screen, in my racing license test, then it would have passed it easily. You know, I was much, much, much better than average for people who come and take who pass their racing license test. So that gave me so much confidence to know that, you know, I've someone who, an instructor who would be taking me for my test to get my racing license has already said that if I drive just the way that I've done on this experience, then I would have passed. So that's great. You know, now I have that confidence that I can just, you know, apply for the test, take it, and hopefully I'll do all right with it, you know. So like I said, I'm not going to go too much into that right now. That's going to be the focus of episode 3. As I said in episode 1, this is kind of going to focus on my journey to becoming a proper racing driver, if you like. So I'm going to share with you all the things that you need, all the steps that I've had to go through. And the next step, obviously, we did a bit of karting, and that, you know, takes into account all the other karting things that I've done in the past as well. Then I've done a driving experience on the track that I'm going to be taking my racing license test on. The next step is to pursue getting that racing license. And then beyond that, it will be finding a series to race in and the cars and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was just a lot of fun to actually be racing around this track. It's a great circuit, Croft. The car itself was unbelievable. You know, the acceleration, the feel that you have with the steering wheel of the car underneath you, it was really, really good. And to be able to drive it, obviously I'm not driving it anywhere near the limits. my lap times are improving, but it's nowhere near as quick as you could probably drive this car. But to be able to, just get a feel of being on a proper racing circuit like this in a proper car was invaluable from an experience standpoint to help me when it comes to, racing in proper cars in the future. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Those are my laps. These driving experiences, anybody can do them. You can, have a look at them based on tracks that are close to you. There's a lot of them around. They're normally quite expensive, but if you're interested in cars, if you want to drive these crazy high-level exotic cars, they're a great experience, and I do recommend them. But for me, it was more so just a confidence booster that I'm already of a level that I need to be able to get my racing license. So now all I need to do is just pursue it and get it done. And that's going to be the topic of episode 3. So I hope you enjoyed it. A bit of a quicker video, not actually any racing, but a unique experience anyway. Like I said, I'll leave some links in the description if you're interested in things I've been talking about. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the second part of my journey to becoming a racing driver. And as always, I'll see you next time.